Hi guys, happy Thursday. I am Thorin. You are watching Our Pagan Opinions, and this week, the last week of the season, we are discussing our spiritual progress over the course of the year. And this has been a really, really difficult subject. It's a really personal question, and over the course of the week, hosts have answered it in different ways. And I'm thinking of this more as sort of the year in review, because one thing that has been really driven home for me in the course of this year, and it's something I know I've said this before in my personal videos, and I know I've journaled about this, and I know I say this all the time, but I think it's something that maybe needs to be rung true again repeatedly. Sort of like how evangelical Christians repeatedly have conversion stories and born-again stories. It's the same kind of thing. Only, never mind. Okay. So one question that I get a lot, and one thing that I struggle with, and one thing that I see a lot of other people struggle with, and something I've tried to be really conscious about over the course of the year, has been intertwining spirituality with daily life. Because the assumption is that religion, spirituality, witchcraft, whatever it is you're doing, the assumption is that it's somehow different from this other thing that we call mundane life or day-to-day life or whatever euphemism we come up for it. And I really think that the older I get and the longer I'm pagan and the longer I'm practicing witchcraft, the more I come to realize that this is really a false dichotomy. There's really no distinction between, or at least ideally, I don't think there should be a distinction between a spiritual life and a mundane life. I made it one of my very first videos, which I left up, that I made probably in 2009 or maybe even earlier, I don't remember, was called What Wiccans Can Learn from Christians. And I've left it up because my points, I feel, still stand. As some of you guys know, I'm doing ethnographic work with a local evangelical megachurch here in North Carolina. Hi, Oliver. Don't listen to him. I have too fed him. And anyway, something that constantly strikes me about this particular brand of Christianity is how closely intertwined it is with everything that these people do. And I still believe that most pagans have an awful lot they can learn from this kind of religious expression. I know a lot of us, like, we've all got busy lives. We're all busy, right? And there's always the struggle to find time for things like ritual and prayer and meditation and all that other crap that we all love that we want to do. But the reality of the situation is that life will never be ideal. There will never be that perfect moment in life. I'm saying this just as much to myself, guys. There will never be that perfect moment where life settles down and you have a comfortable half hour every day for meditation, or you can do circle at every time the moon does anything. That will never happen. It just won't. There will be kids or sickness or school or work or spousal problems, or the cat will throw up or escape or something. I mean, like, there will be a thing. Okay, and I think the key to finding some kind of spiritual fulfillment is learning how to strike that sort of balance and finding spirituality in the midst of the kind of mundane chaos that a lot of the times we wish wasn't there and in the way. Because fundamentally, I mean, that's what life is. And for me, being pagan is ultimately about trying to find the best way to live for myself. And I think that's what the core of a lot of religion is for a lot of people, depending on, I mean, like, different, across traditions. So this past year for me, I've really tried to incorporate this thing called religion, which I think culturally we've all placed in sort of its own box over here, and somehow we have to take it and put it into the rest of our lives. And that's a really hard thing to do. And more I'm just trying to find spirituality in my daily life. And I think it's gotten so that what? Do you want to come up? Sorry. He's really distracting. See, like this, if I were trying to meditate or something right now, Oliver would not have it. Anyway, in trying to be conscious about my religion all the time and about my spiritual convictions, I really try to let it govern how I run the rest of my life. I see. Don't eat that, Oliver. I see my. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. I'm trying to make a video and I'm trying to talk to you about very important things. And my cat has other ideas. And this is just what happens, right? The cat becomes a metaphor for daily life. Anyway, I've tried to incorporate my religious convictions into my work, into my relationships, into how I interact with people in my daily life, etc. I think those sorts of things are really important because if you're a spiritual person, whatever that even means, if you're a religious person, whatever that even means, then ideally, this is my opinion, I think you should be a religious person at all times. I know a lot of pagans are critical of, if they've got Christian upbringings, they can be critical of it because of this idea of the Sunday Christian, where on Sunday they go to church, but then the rest of the week, you know, they're gambling and stealing and lying and cheating, all right? And, you know, that kind of hypocrisy is really abhorrent to others outside of the tradition. But the exact same thing happens with all of us, with pagans. I mean, you know, I know plenty of pagans, and I've had points like this in my life where I'm pagan when it's a Sabbath, you know, because, well, it's been a really hard year at school or something, or, well, I've been sick, or, well, there was some family drama or something. And the truly devoted Christians in my life, who I'm spending so much time with this year because of my work, I'm always really impressed by how things like that they don't get in their way. There's this constant dialogue with Christ and this constant striving for a relationship with God, whether that comes in the form of just the constant dialogue, so constant prayer, prayers before meals, journaling, Bible study groups, youth missions, regular missions, church a couple times a week. If you care, if you are devoted, if it's real, you find time. And I'm not saying find time necessarily for elaborate ritual, but realistically, how much time does it take to touch base with this core of your being? And this isn't a criticism. This is more, I mean, like, I'm talking to myself here too, okay? Because this is something that I constantly have to remind myself of. So that's been the year for me. It's been an extremely, not a difficult year per se, but it's been a challenging year, just because this was my first year in a graduate program. My first year this year was really, really critical in deciding whether or not I would have any shot at all at continuing into PhD work. I moved this year. I got a new pet this year. I lost another pet. I mean, it's been a really big year for me. And next year is going to be another big year, because next year is really going to determine the rest of my life. Because I'll either get into a PhD program or I won't. And if I don't, then I have to employ Plan B, which I don't have right now. So like you guys, I mean, like, we're all really busy, right? And because this year has been so critical for me, my challenge has been incorporating my religious practice and belief. I don't like those terms, but my religion into everything that I do, and trying to permeate the rest of my life. Because, like I said in the beginning, I really don't think that spirituality is a thing that's different from the rest of life, or at least it shouldn't be. So this is something that I struggle with. It's something that I know a lot of you guys struggle with, because I get messages, and I'll probably make more videos about this stuff on my personal channel. But that's been the year for me. It's been a really positive one, spiritually. I've progressed within my own tradition. I've progressed personally. Something that you guys, I know I haven't talked about on this channel, but I have a little bit in my personal channel. I was involved in an extremely abusive relationship for a number of years. I've been out of it for 2, and I'm in a lot of therapy all the time. So there's been a lot of progress made there. So it's been a really important year, and I think my last bit, if I may offer some advice before it floats out of my head and I forget what I wanted to say, would be to acknowledge the kind of progress that you've made in other parts of your life. I was watching Jay's video, and Jay said something about how there was a stepping back from spiritual stuff to work on other things in life. And sometimes you have to do that stuff, but I think it's important to realize that all of those things impact every other part of your life. So there's nothing to feel bad about. If you step away from your religious tradition or a regular practice or reading spiritual stuff or whatever, you step away from that stuff to focus on your personal life or your family or your health or whatever. All of those things, they're all intertwined. So when you take care of one thing, you're really taking care of all things. So don't beat yourself up, guys, for not being as religious as you'd like to be or something. But at the same time, challenge yourself to figure out what that even means. Like, why is it that we're only being religious necessarily if we're engaged in some kind of ritual? I don't know. Anyway, things to think about. And sorry if this has kind of been all over the place. I think this was a really good way to tie up the season. My understanding is that we'll be back in August. I'm not entirely aware of all of the changes that are being made, but I'm sure it'll be awesome because everyone on this channel is awesome. So it'll be great. So until August, you can find all of us at our personal channels, and happy summer. So solstice is coming up. Yay! Okay, bye guys.